Troublesome times are here, filling men's hearts with fear. Freedom we all dear, now is at stake. Humble your hearts to God, save from the chastening rod. Seek the way pilgrims trod, Christians away. My Jesus is coming soon, morning or night or noon, many will.
Thanks for joining us. You're going to enjoy this interview today because we have a guest here that's been here before, been here several times, but he's one of Nashville's finest and he's commander of the South Precinct, Commander Alexander. Is it Mike Alexander or Michael Alexander?
It is. It's Mike.
It is.
Yeah,
Mike.
well, really, it's Michael.
Michael, but everybody calls you
most
Mike.
People go Mike. Yes, sir.
What'd your wife call you?
Pretty much most anything she wants. So you never know. It changes.
That's great. I appreciate you being here.
Absolutely.
I think we're supposed to shake hands,
Yeah,
make it look official.
I appreciate you.
How many times have you been here?
Probably 4 or 5 at least.
You commander of the South Precinct.
Right.
That's a big precinct, isn't it?
It is. 79 square miles, about 190 people assigned there. Very diverse area.
That's the thing that's interesting to me. It's so diverse and changing all the time.
Well, it is. Yeah, it changes. Very fast paced, densely populated with business and residential areas. 146 apartment complexes just within the South Precinct. So a lot of different opportunities to reach out and work with those different entities, which is what we're really passionate about doing.
You've had y'all have had a lot of success in working in the Hispanic community.
We have the El Protector program, which 2 officers are dedicated to that program, really focusing on community outreach, doing a lot more with kids, community festivals. We just recently celebrated the Hispanic Children's Day this past Sunday. About 2,000 people came to that event. That's a police department sponsored event. So
does Anglos come to it at all?
Yes, we actually have a huge, diverse mix of the entire community that comes and enjoys those events. So it's interesting to see. Probably over 2,000 or so came to that. We've got the Hispanic Teen Academy coming up again this summer. We've got the soccer tournament coming up. So we're on 4 radio stations now. The El Protector officers are. So the idea is do anything we can to build that trust and partnership with the Hispanic community, do anything we can to lessen any cultural bias or fear that the Hispanic community may have due to their past experiences in their own country as far as distrust of police and things of that nature. So anytime we can get together and just enjoy a day of fun and fellowship with the Hispanic community, then we definitely need to be doing that. But also the radio stations, for example, a great way for us to get information out and share information and answer questions. So the idea is, for some reason, if a person is fearful about coming face to face with an officer but they need a question answered, they can call the radio station and get that question answered. So if that's what we need to do, then we're going to make sure we do that. So that's 4 radio stations and counting now. Actually, the Vera Institute in New York is currently assessing our El Protector program. They started out with about 200 departments across the country, did some on-site visits with about 20.
Who's doing this?
The Vera Institute. It's a research organization in New York.
Okay.
They are currently assessing our program. They started with about 200 departments across the country and did about 25 on-site visits from that list, and then we're still being looked at, even after the on-site visits, as a very promising practice for a police organization, so we're very proud of that.
What do you get out of that now, this organization? Do they give you some grants or they just give you the recognition that this is the way to do police work?
Recognition, put it out in a publication, send it to law enforcement agencies across the country, at least for recommendations as to what are deemed to be successful immigrant outreach programs. So it's an honor.
It is, y'all are using a format that I first recognized when Surpass came here, and Chief Anderson is still very much in that, is building relationships with people in the community.
Absolutely.
And it's El Protector, what do you call it?
El Protector program, yes sir.
It is, you speak Spanish?
No sir, very limited.
I was going to see the chief yesterday, and I told my little granddaughter, you know her, Shayla.
Right.
I was telling her, I said, I'm going to see the chief today. He said, you want me to say hello or say anything to him? She said, yeah. I said, tell him. And she blurted out the phrase in Spanish.
That's
I said, well, okay. I saw the chief, and I told him, I said, well, Shayla said, tell you, and she said it in Spanish, said, I can't tell you anything I don't know. And he said, that's all right. And so she loves him. She loves him.
To your point, Chief Anderson is very, very focused on working with communities, working with neighborhoods, specifically working with the needs in certain areas, it's not uncommon on any given night of the week that Chief Anderson himself will attend various community events, neighborhood watch meetings, different things like that, to actually meet people, hear their concerns, let them speak to him. So he's very much in tune to that effort.
Chief Anderson connects with people. He's a good man.
He is.
I am proud we got him. He really, my wife says she just loves him. He came to one of our functions and he sat down and talked to her just like they was in high school together. Just sat there and talked up a storm, spent the whole time with her.
Right.
And she said, man, he's personable. He's somebody you can go talk to.
Well, he is personable, and from a professional standpoint, the police department, and probably even more importantly, the city and the citizens here are really very, very blessed to have someone of his caliber and his integrity at the head of our organization.
We have a problem with my people, my inner city communities have been instilled this don't talk, don't tell anybody, is just be quiet, don't give police information. We've got to break that down.
Right.
They've got to get to where they will go on and don't snitch. No snitch is what the phrase uses, don't snitch.
Right.
And the criminal element uses that to try to keep people from being involved in their community. And have y'all done anything particularly to break through that barrier?
Well, it's an important point, and I think you're exactly right. But that's why we have got to be so very passionate and proactive about reaching out and just talking to people, particularly young people, school resource officers. You know, they're officers that are placed within schools. They're there day in and day out, but they're also obviously there to keep order and keep peace, but they're also there for many more important reasons, many of which you mentioned. Building that trust and partnership with students in the hopes that a student will come and tell that officer something that he may not tell another officer somewhere, or may not tell anybody else in the criminal justice system. Build that trust and partnership. The Teen Academy that I mentioned, that's the main driving force behind that. You know, we have 40 to 50 kids that spend a week with us during the summer from Hispanic families. To me, that's a success before we even start, because we've got 50 Hispanic families willing to let their children spend the week with us at the police department. That's all about forming that trust and partnership.
Do y'all do that at your camp?
We do. This is our 4th year that we're going to do it this year. We do it right there out of the South Precinct with help from several components within the department. But the idea is they'll leave there and have a better understanding of how they can trust and consider the officers their friend, and they tell their friends the same thing and try to spread that message. But we have kids leaving that camp hugging the police officers, actually sad that the program is over. Mm-hmm. So when someone asks me, well, do you have any data to support that works? I say, well, I may not have data, but we're doing the right thing. We're doing the right thing for the right reasons, and we've got to continue doing that, attending church events, attending youth events.
You do a lot of that with church events.
We do.
You do security for churches.
We're actually in the planning stages of our 2012 church safety seminar that we hope to hold sometime during the month of May or June. We think that's a very important outreach for the safety of everyone at the church. But attending church youth events, for example, even if it's for 15 minutes, let the officer get out, talk to the kids, let them see the car, build that trust and partnership. Let the kids see the officer as the real person that he or she is, and also remind that kid that they can do anything that they want to do with their life, make good choices, and they can be anything they want to be. So we realize that the police department can't be everything in a child's life, but whatever we can be, we need to be. So that's very much a part of it.
That is so healthy. That is so good for our city, and I appreciate Nashville's police department having that point of view, because watching television and listening to people and police of years gone by was none of that. It was beat somebody, break the law, arrest a criminal, throw him in jail, no relationship building. Every resource officer I've talked to that's working the schools tell me they do that because they want to be with the children. They love the children.
Yeah, the heart's in the right place.
And they've got the heart to help the children be successful.
Yeah,
How many do we have in the, and I asked Chief Anderson when he was here, and he told me it's a huge number. Do you know how many resource officers
we have? We've got approximately 70 school resource officers, and that's their full-time job. They're dedicated to the school system at various elementary and high schools across Davidson County. So it's approximately 70 people.
How many do you have in Glencliff?
2. We've got about 11 school resource officers assigned to the South Precinct. We've got 2 in Glencliff and 2 in Cane Ridge, which is an evolving and growing school as well, and several elementary schools.
what is there in the Metro Police Department that you would like the city of Nashville to know about that we probably don't know?
Well, I think for 2012, it's very important for everyone to know that we did open a 7th police precinct January 1st with the opening of the Madison precinct that's in the Peterbilt facility on Mount Drive. And the Midtown Hills precinct is scheduled to come on board at some point, hopefully in 2013 or shortly thereafter. Anytime we open an additional precinct, the good news for the community is that's another commander, that's another, even more importantly, another community affairs coordinator and a whole additional team per se to be devoted to a certain section of the county. So anytime we open an additional precinct, obviously that's good for that particular area. For Madison, it's a huge benefit, but it also benefits the North Precinct because Commander Carter and his coverage in the North Precinct has now shrunk.
That's right.
Due to Madison taking part of
You got
that.
it cut in half, I guess, wasn't it?
Probably almost cut in half, but the golden nugget in that entire thought process is this. With the smaller boundary areas, that means there's more opportunities for the commander, community affairs coordinator, every police officer, every supervisor provides more opportunities to build more relationships to take care of the needs of the people. That's the whole idea behind the additional precincts, and that's why that is such good news for us.
See, Mike, you're saying you're putting a new face on police work, and it's very, very healthy. And that is, you said relationships.
Right.
Building relationships to protect the people. That is so healthy. And I don't want to beat a dead horse, but it used to not be that way.
Well, it did not, and it needs to be that way. And
When you came on, it wasn't that way.
No, 21 years ago it was a little bit different. Fortunately, we've moved in the right direction. That's why now we're passionate about meeting with department managers and their maintenance and their security, and meeting with church leaders and their congregations, meeting with business owners, neighborhood watch leaders. The idea is we want to meet and collaborate with anybody that's willing to meet with us. So thank goodness the days are long gone of we'll sit down here in the police precinct and know what we know, and then you live and work out in the community and know what you know, and we won't talk, and we can't do that. We can't afford to do our business that way. The only reason we have a chance of being successful in this city at all is the help and the trust of the community. You've got to call us, you've got to email us, you've got to visit. We beg people to call us, email us, and visit us, because that information that we get from the community is the only reason that we're successful. That's the bottom line.
And that can't be looked over. That
absolutely,
people
that cannot.
need this. Every citizen's important, because in this city, it's a diversified city.
Right.
And we've got more people coming in all the time.
Yes.
And they come from different backgrounds. They have a different view of what is right and wrong,
sure,
and what's law and order.
Right.
And I was on a plane going to New Orleans, and I was talking to a girl that was from New Orleans, and she was going back home, and she said after Katrina that it moved everybody out, and said meaner gangs came in from the South Pacific and all, and said they were meaner, they were more violent, didn't have respect for law. Well, as those organizations move off across our country, you have to have the police department just can't police the city. The city needs to police the city. Absolutely.
That's the whole idea behind the neighborhood watch concept. Neighborhoods taking ownership of their area and being willing to look out for each other. And for example, be a nosy neighbor and know which cars belong at the house next door and who belongs and who doesn't, and be willing to call us when that's not the case. We've reached out to United Parcel Service drivers, for example, because they deliver in residential streets in South Nashville. So they've got a tip line. They can call us and tell us if they see a suspicious car or a suspicious person. That's a great partnership with the business community. There's many more UPS drivers in Nashville neighborhoods than there are police officers, just due to sheer numbers. So reaching out to garbage companies or delivery drivers or the Postal Service, anybody at all that's willing to help and give us information, absolutely. And it's all about improving quality of life for people. So in other words, if something's having a negative effect on someone's quality of life, whether that's a burglary, a robbery, all the way to an abandoned car in a yard, it's an issue to that person, and it's got to be an issue for us, regardless of the severity of the issue.
Our communities can police their communities if we will get over this do not snitch, and if we'll call in and give them information. It doesn't cost anything to call on the tip line. And if it's not important, you can just delete it and go on. But it just may be the one clue.
Yeah, we have made several major cases just due to very vague and limited information that somebody calls and gives us, even on an anonymous basis. We have text a tip now. You can text a tip to the police department because we know texting is so prevalent. Not when you're driving, hopefully.
I hadn't
but
got into
texting
that
is so
yet, but
prevalent.
I need to learn it because they're telling me all the time now, well, I'm going to text you. And I think, I get texts. I don't even know where I got it.
Right.
But
Well, we got the 244 dope, and we've got the tip line 880-3816 is the tip line at South. You don't have to leave a name or anything else. Just give us information. So there's multiple ways to not come face to face with us, but still get us the information that we need, and we get that daily, and we're thankful for that. And again, sometimes that's the only way we're able to make a case.
when I think about relationships, and I've told Chief Anderson, I've told you too, and Don Aaron and all of you, we have 2 police officers at the Inner City Church of Christ every Sunday morning.
Right.
And they are a part of that family now. And we have people that go to those officers and talk to them. Want him to come talk to me, they'll go talk to those officers. That's been the best thing for our church. Now, I mean, we're an inner city church, and we bring in people from gangs, and because it's a place where sinners come, and everybody's welcome. And so we reach out to a hurting community, and we want them to know when they get there, they're going to be safe.
Right.
And when we brought the police officers in, that was the best thing we've done.
Right.
Because they knew they'd be safe.
Sure.
And so they don't have to fight for themselves. They don't have to defend a little brother.
Right.
They can let the authorities take care of it. And so it has really been good. And we've got 2 great officers, and they really have close relationships with people, checking on people. When one of my guys makes a mistake and goes to jail, they'll come by and ask me, is he still in? Is he out? You know,
Right.
running.
Yeah, it's the essence of community policing. Our heart's in the right place. Every single officer that we have is representing the department, and they have to have community policing at the forefront of their minds. It's fine to ride through the market parking lot and wave at the clerk, but it's 10 times better to stop and get out and meet the clerk and introduce yourself and let them know you work that area, and is there anything we need to know about. It's all about face-to-face talking to people and making sure that they know that we're on your side, and we want to do anything we possibly can to help you. Please be willing to work with us. Please let me know what your concerns are. Every officer has to consider that, how important that is.
And our community needs to stop. I want to challenge you in the community, when you have a police officer come through your community, stop and say thank you. I tell officers all the time, I pray for you. And I do pray for them, and that's important. They need to receive the encouragement from us, because the closer they are to us, the more they'll be comfortable around us, and the more they'll feel a part of our community.
Yeah, absolutely. And your work with the youth is just instrumental. And all of our work with the youth that we're trying to do on a daily basis, that's the future adults, the future leaders, the future officers, the future clergy of this city. And it's got to be important.
It's got to be important. Let's talk. There's 2 things I want to cover. One of them is the new crime lab you're getting.
Right.
And the other one I want to cover is the number of police you have on staff for the whole city is up to, I think, your maximum number or
Right.
close to
We're
maximum.
fully staffed now.
You're fully staffed.
We still have academy classes in the planning stages. That's largely in part due to Mayor Dean's support and the council's support as far as having continual police academy classes, recruit classes, move through the process, which in essence means more officers dedicated to more neighborhoods throughout the city. So it's been very much a blessing for the department and the city.
That keeps our crime down.
Absolutely.
I met with Dean before he was ever elected, and he told me at that time his passion is to make Nashville safe, have our children educated, give them a chance to have a good education. And he's followed through on that in employment. He wanted to get jobs up in Nashville, and he's followed through it. And I appreciate his support of the police department.
Well, it's been very supportive.
Because we need this. I heard a stat a week or 2 ago, Mike. I was watching television. It was on Sunday morning, early Sunday morning, and there's somewhere, and it was a special, and it was on in prisons and how expensive prisons are, and how they're not working, and it was something to do in New York, and you may have heard about it, you may know about it, but a city in New York, they wanted the prison population was too expensive. And they want to reduce the prison population, so they increased the police department. And crime in the community is down 20%. I believe with the figures they said the crime in the community was down 20%. Prison population is down 20%. So by investing in police officers, they're saving a tremendous amount of money.
Right. And you mentioned the DNA lab. That's huge for us. What an opportunity for the department and the city to have our very own DNA lab staffed by our own employees. That's also will be in conjunction with the Madison precinct over on Mott Drive. Now we rely on the TBI for DNA evidence and things of that nature. The TBI has to manage the entire state as far as all the requests that are sent in. So to no fault of their own, there's a time delay there in getting results back. We'll be able to have a much quicker turnaround on DNA, latent print, and several other types of evidence submitted in relation to our cases. And the great news is residential burglaries, for example, they're classified as a property crime. However, we consider them a personal crime because we know how violated someone feels just to know that someone was in their home. So we're getting DNA cases and lifting latent prints and things of that nature from a residential burglary. We'll be able to get that analysis back much, much quicker, which in turn will hopefully mean quicker prosecution and quicker in terms of the entire process of getting someone responsible for that crime to be incarcerated for that offense so that we don't have another additional victim. So the DNA lab is great news for us, and again, that's largely due to the support of Mayor Dean and the council for us being able to have that. But that's great news for the department and the city. This is all good information that's good for our city as our city moves forward, and our city's going somewhere. Right. Mayor Dean says over and over that our better days are ahead, and I think that if we as a city will invest with him. I'm not a politician, don't want to be a politician, but when I heard him talking about raising taxes and he was going to put it with the police department, he was going to build up the schools, he was going to pay the metro employees, and he said all that after he'd said he'd made all these cuts, millions of dollars worth of cuts, and I think as from a citizen, that's my big beef. Are we getting the bang for the buck, you know? And so he went through and did all the cuts and everything, then he needed to have the property increase, and it was going to hit me and my wife for maybe $150 to $200 a month, and that was I believe it's $200 a year. It was going to hit us an increase $200 a year, and I was thinking about it costs $1.3 million to incarcerate a lifetime criminal, and I was thinking, I would invest $200 if I was going to get a return of $1.3 million, save $1.3 million. Yeah, I would invest on that, and I was thinking about that report out of New York. And I think our city's on the right track. I believe if we can get the police department properly trained out in our communities with things like the crime lab, where we can find out who the real criminal is, get him off the street, make that community safe, because my prayer is that every boy and girl in this city can lay down at night and feel safe. Absolutely, and there's no better prayer than that. That is the ultimate goal for every family, every child in this city to lay down and sleep at night without fear of vandalism or any sort of destruction or breaking and entering and things of that nature. So it's just imperative that we stay so very focused on that mission. There's no better desire than that for our city. The leadership here, Chief Anderson conducts the ComStat process. We pay very close attention. Y'all still doing the ComStat process? We do. It works. We do. It works. Being very laser focused on the data and what's going on and where to make sure that we deploy our resources accordingly based upon objective data of where the problems are. You are data driven, aren't you? We are very much data driven, and we believe it works. So far this year, it does work. So far this year, the county's a little bit of a reduction compared to this day last year in overall crime. We have a lot of work to do. We're not doing well enough by any means, but paying very close attention to that data day in and day out, even by shift, looking at hours, days, and very meticulous analysis of that helps the leadership teams deploy the officers in the areas where we need to be. And we do believe that makes a difference. That makes all the difference. I think you've told me one time that in a conversation that you commanders all meet and go over every homicide. Do y'all meet once ever so often and study the homicides? Once a month. There is a homicide summit. All 7 commanders are there, as well as other captains from several different components in the department, as well as the 3 deputy chiefs. Every open homicide for the current year and for the last couple of years, if there are any that meet that criteria, is analyzed. And so, now, what are y'all looking for? What would y'all do at that? We would give a synopsis of the open case, and the big focus of it is what have we done so far, but even more importantly, what is still left to be done? What are the remaining steps that can get us closer to solving this particular homicide? So you've got a collective team there from across the department, and the leadership there as well from the command staff, and everybody is listening to every person's open homicide regardless of what particular area it's in. So, that's at the point that every homicide matters and one is too many. So precinct boundaries don't mean anything in that homicide summit. Everybody is there to collectively work together to see how we can move forward in solving an unsolved homicide, because obviously that is the worst tragedy for a city.
How many homicides have we had in Nashville? Now, we're doing this program, we're taping this in May of 2012. Now, this will play different times. So, on the timeline, how many homicides have we had in Nashville?
As of April 23rd, we've had 18 homicides in our city.
That's a low number, but that's still too many, isn't it?
It is. It's by very much so. 18 too many.
One is 18 too many. If you're talking to the city of Nashville here, but you know, and it's amazing to me how you can be in a community and things you need to know and you don't know, and so what would you like for everybody in the city of Nashville to know about the Metro Police Department? What is it that you'd like to know? You'd like us to know?
Well, I think it's very important for every citizen, every business owner, every person within Davidson County. They need to know which precinct they live or work in, and even more importantly, reach out to that particular precinct if you don't already have a relationship and find out who the community affairs coordinator is for that particular precinct.
Now, what's the job of the community affairs coordinator?
That person is basically the liaison between the precinct and the community, the face of the precinct, if you will, as far as dealing day in and day out with any issues where we may be working together. You can become part of an email distribution list where we can keep you informed of what's going on in the area, what we're doing about it. Be mindful of helpful crime prevention tips and things of that nature. And also it's a way to have a contact at the precinct, because these building relationships, it's all about having a contact at the police department. Who do I call? Who can I call when I have an issue? Even if it's a car parked in a yard, if it's speeding on a neighborhood street, if it's a burglary, a robbery, or if we're going to be out of town, we'd like you to keep an extra eye on the house. You know, we're all about the personal service. What can we do to make your quality of life better wherever you reside or live or work and things of that nature? So please find out who your community affairs coordinator is and establish a relationship with that person. We are in essence begging the community to call us, email us, stop by your precinct and visit, find out if that is the precinct, you know, become involved, join a neighborhood watch group if you don't have one or you're not already a part of one, or at least get on our email distribution list. It's all about having that contact so that we can further that relationship, so that we can continue to work together. Quite frankly, we cannot do it without the community. I do think it's important for the community to know we're on your side. But we want your help, and we want the information, and we want you to trust us. We hope we get it right every time. We know we may not, but that's why you need to know who we are as well and have that contact so you can
have a relationship.
Reach out to. Absolutely,
it's
imperative. Yes.
We're running out of time. I appreciate you being here, but I'm on your email list, and it's good to look at that list and see when crime is starting to get close to my house. It makes me be more aware of what's around my house.
Right, absolutely. It's for everybody's own safety. First and foremost, it's for your own safety to know what's going on in the area.
That's good.
And then from another aspect of that is you may have seen something that will be helpful to us. So it's important information to share. We've got to share information.
Commander, it's a blessing to always have you here. We're out of time, and we appreciate all of you. Y'all are in our prayers, and we appreciate what you do for our city. And I want to encourage you to get involved and know your policemen in your community on first name basis, so that the trust factor is already established. When you need them, they arrive. They know that they can trust you. You know you can trust them, and that'll be a big help to us in our city. We got a great city. Nashville's a good place to live. Thank you for tuning in.
Troublesome times are here, feeling men's hearts with fear. Freedom we all hold dear, now is at stake. Humble your heart to God, save from the chastening rod. Seek the way pilgrims trod, Christians away. My Jesus is coming soon, morning or night or noon. Many will meet their doom. Trumpets will sound, and all of the dead shall rise. Righteous men in the skies. I'm going where no one dies, heavenward bound. Well, troubles will soon be o'er, happy forevermore. When we meet on that shore, free from all care. Rising up in the skies, telling this world goodbye. Home